Well, the Buffalo Bills had another dismal season in 2012, finishing 6-10, only winning 2 AFC East games. This is pretty much par for the course for this team, which has to be frustrating for their fan base. There was some optimism surrounding this team heading into this past season. A lot of people thought they already had a functional offense in place, and with all the money they spent upgrading their defense, many people thought that 2012 was the year the Bills would make significant strides in the division. That, of course, did not happen. As a result of that, Chan Gailey has been fired as head coach. The Bills have hired Doug Marrone, who has been the head coach at Syracuse. Now, Marrone has some NFL experience as an assistant, most recently under Sean Payton as an offensive assistant in New Orleans. We'll see if Marrone and his offensive coordinator, who he brought with him from Syracuse, Nathaniel Hackett, we'll see if they can breathe some life into this offense. It was not very good this past season, finishing 19th in the NFL in total offense, 25th in pass yards per game. So I think Ryan Fitzpatrick has probably received his last shot as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, no doubt Fitzpatrick will be able to find work as a backup. I actually think he's better than most people seem to think he is, but I do not think he'll be the starter in Buffalo this next season. So what will they do at the quarterback position? People have talked about guys like Michael Vick, big name free agents. I expect Buffalo to draft a quarterback, and I wouldn't be surprised if they draft the guy that has been Marrone's quarterback for the last couple of years. That is Ryan Nassib from Syracuse. Nassib obviously extremely familiar with what Marrone and Hackett want to do on offense, and he's projected to be a late first round, early second round type guy. Now, the Bills pick 8th in the first round. That might be a little high for Nassib, but I'm not sure quarterback is the position they're going to address with that pick. After all, they have plenty of needs. We talked about their defense. They spent a lot of money last offseason upgrading this defense. It did not work. The Bills finished 26th in points allowed. They gave up 27.2 points per game, 31st in rush defense. They could not stop the run. It's tough to win in the NFL when you allow 145 rush yards per game. They do have a new defensive coordinator now, Mike Pettin, who has been the defensive coordinator under Rex Ryan with the New York Jets. But it's going to take more than a new coach. They need some more players. And I know that must sound frustrating to Bills fans. They spent big money and high draft choices on so many defensive players in recent years. Guys like Mario Williams, signed Mark Anderson, the other defensive end, to a fairly lucrative contract this past offseason. Used a first-round draft pick a couple of years ago on Marcel Darius. Drafted Stephon Gilmore, the cornerback, in the first round. But don't be surprised to see the Bills go defense once again in the top 10, because this draft is supposedly rich in defensive linemen. And when you finish 31st in the league in rush defense, you need some more defensive linemen. But as I said, the offense is another thing that Marrone is going to address, and I wouldn't be surprised if either through a trade or through the 8th pick in the second round, Marrone picks up his old quarterback at Syracuse, Ryan Nassib. Now, the Bills need playmakers. It's not just a quarterback. Stevie Johnson, their number one wide receiver, might be better in the slot. There's been a lot of talk since the season ended about moving Stevie Johnson to the slot. But to do that, they'll have to find some capable receivers on the outside, and this past year's Buffalo Bills team did not have that. Now, will David Nelson become that guy when he comes back from injury? Remains to be seen. Brad Smith, they played at wide receiver this past season, seems to be better used as a jack of all trades, sort of like the New York Jets used him. So the Bills will have to get some more playmakers. One of the bright spots that came out of 2012, they know they have a playmaker in the backfield in C.J. Spiller. Spiller had split time with Fred Jackson, but Jackson was injured throughout a lot of 2012. It gave Spiller the chance to really grow into the role of feature back. He responded by rushing for 1,244 yards, 1,244, and would have been more had he not had to split time, especially early in the season with Fred Jackson. The Bills ended up finishing 6th in the NFL in rush yards per game, 138.6 yards per game. And Marrone, he made his bones as an offensive line coach. So just because Syracuse threw the ball all around last year, just because Marrone last worked for Sean Payton, the New Orleans Saints, obviously an offense that throws it all around, do not expect Doug Marrone to neglect the running game. I think that C.J. Spiller is going to be the central part of the Buffalo Bills offense, at least in the short term moving forward. But as I said, I do think they are going to address the quarterback position and look to add some more playmakers at wide receiver. So Buffalo fans, I guess you're left, just like other years, just like many other franchises, you're left to sit and hope. Hope that Marrone worked out better than Chan Gailey or any of the guys before Gailey, Dick Duran, what have you. Hopefully he can return them back to the Marv Levy glory days when they could complain about losing Super Bowls instead of going 6-10. For now, we'll see what Marrone can do. It has to be exciting at least to see a roster be rebuilt, because we know the roster as it's presently constructed doesn't have much of a winning future. We'll see if the new one will for Buffalo.